Please, with due respect, Mr. Umahi can support Tinubu any way he wants to support, but I think it's a stretch on the over 3 million people that died, the children that were kwashiorkored, the people that were pained, the 10,000 people that were dying of famine on a daily basis, to now say President Tinubu is the Biafra they are looking for.
No, he says he's the Messiah of Biafra.
He's the Messiah of Biafra, whatever I say.
Inclusion, development,
no, Dr.
progress,
Dr.
development.
He should have just kept Biafra out of it. He can hype Tinubu all he wants. But Biafra is a sore point for Igbo people. I have friends that were child soldiers during the war. Please, let's not go there. It's a sorry part. A lot of them are still angry with General Gowon and what he wrote in the book. And the book he recently released.
Most of those people have not read the book.
No, they have read the book.
Where did they get a copy?
No, they have read the book. And a lot of them are still feeling very hard done. And these are witnesses to history. It didn't happen behind them. I'm saying child soldiers. People that went through the pain. And
like
I think it is very sad. No, I'm not talking about Sonny Roche. So you don't even know
was a child soldier.
No, so you don't even know who I was talking about. So that was somebody else. It's not even Sonny Roche. So I think it is very despicable and sad for us just to mitigate the plight of Biafra and what happened there. And you see, Hoji, we have never taken our time to review what happened in Biafra. Atonement for Biafra is just more than no victor, no vanquish. It is deeper than that. Atonement is not in political rhetorics and political positions here and there. No. Just after the war, we had the top political parties ceding their vice presidential position to somebody from the southeast. We all know how Alex Ekweme, prominent architect, became the vice president of Nigeria. But that's not atonement. Atonement is a full sense of belonging. And that's why a lot of people are agitating and say, an Igbo presidency might just be a step in the way. So it's a deeper conversation, and let's not mitigate it on the bounds of politics. You can hype Tinubu, you can say he's your God Almighty, you can lick his foot, you can do anything, but when you start to mention Biafra in that way, it loses me, please.
What Rufai Oseni is reacting to in this video was what David Umahi, Minister of Works, said at an APC presidential primary in Ebonyi State. Minister of Works, David Umahi, declared that Tinubu is the Biafra we have been looking for, a man who has integrated the entire Southeast, giving us juicy appointments and very important infrastructure. Rufai Oseni, known for confronting power on live TV, fired back with a pointed, emotionally charged rebuttal. Let's break down what Oseni actually said and the deeper layers underneath it. Now, lesson 1. You cannot monetize a massacre. Oseni's first and most powerful point is this: political appointments and road projects cannot be placed on the same scale as over 3 million deaths, mass starvation, and the psychological trauma of a genocide. The Biafran War, which happened from 1967 to 1970, was one of the most catastrophic events in African post-independent history. The kwashiorkor epidemic, the protein deficiency disease that ravaged Biafran children and became the haunting image of that war, was not just hunger. It was a deliberate consequence of blockades. The images of skeletal children with distended bellies shocked the entire world and became a rallying cry for modern humanitarian intervention globally. The deeper lesson is, when political actors reduce the sacred suffering of a people to a transactional talking point, they reveal a fundamental misunderstanding of what trauma does to collective identity. Trauma is not currency. You cannot pay back genocide with appointments. No. Lesson 2. Collective memory is not negotiable. Oseni said Biafra is a sore point for the Igbo people, and this is perhaps the most psychologically and historically profound thing he said. There is a concept in social psychology called collective memory. the shared pool of knowledge and information in the memory of two or more members of a group. For the Igbo, Biafra is not a chapter in a history book. It is a lived intergenerational wound. Grandparents who survived it passed the trauma to children who passed it to grandchildren. Songs, stories, literature. Chino Achebe's There Was a Country, for example, have kept the wound documented and alive. And the deeper lesson in this point too is that political leaders who casually invoke sacred wounds for campaign optics are not just being insensitive, they are being strategically reckless. They don't just offend the present generation, they trigger the memory of every generation that survived. Lesson 3: the danger of speaking for a people you don't represent. US-based Igbo groups outright rejected Umahi's claims, stating that he does not have the mandate to speak for the Igbo and that he lacks the power to speak for the Igbo people, calling his statements insulting, misleading, and self-serving. Oseni's pushback aligns with this. When one man, regardless of his position, presumes to close the file on a people's century-old aspiration for dignity and self-determination, he is committing what we could call representational arrogance. He is silencing millions by speaking over them. Position and power do not equal representation. A minister from a region is not the spokesman of that region's soul. True leadership requires the humility to know where your authority ends. Lesson 4. Language has consequences, especially historical language. Oseni said Umahi should have kept Biafra out of it. This is a media and communications lesson as much as a political one. Words carry weight proportional to their history. The word Biafra is not neutral. It is loaded with blood, ideology, resistance, grief, and unresolved national questions. When a government official weaponizes it as a compliment to the sitting president, it does several things simultaneously. 1. It trivializes the original aspiration, self-determination, and equity. 2. It provokes those still grieving. 3. It reduces a civilization question to a political endorsement. Lesson 5. Anger towards Gowon, the unhealed wound of records. Oseni also mentioned that many Igbo people are still angry with General Gowon over what he wrote in his book. This is a reference to how the official narrative of the war has been contested. Gowon's administration enforced the post-war policy of no victor, no vanquished. But many Igbo felt the reconciliation was cosmetic, while the structural exclusion continued. When a survivor's pain is met with a victor's narrative that minimizes or reframes what happened, it does not produce healing, it produces suppressed resentment that waits for a trigger. Umahi's statement was that trigger. Reconciliation requires truth, not PR. You cannot reconcile people to a history they were not allowed to name honestly. When governments write victors' histories, they simply delay the reckoning. Rufai Oseni's words at their core are a defense of historical dignity. He is saying, before you use a people's pain as a political trophy, understand what that pain cost them. That is a lesson that goes far beyond Nigerian politics. It is a universal truth about how nations heal, how leaders earn trust, and how history should be honored rather than hijacked. Thank you for listening. Make sure you comment below, share it, share your view, and like. Thank you.